Hey guys, I wanted to do something. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I think I actually have the motivation to do it now. And that is, I want to create a very, very basic, the BA, like ba 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 basics. Like, I want to create the video series on Heads Up, Sit and Go, like basics. So I'm going to do that, I think, instead of in my normal conceptual way where I would like lay out a slideshow or something. I'm going to do that while I'm playing. So the first step while we're playing is we want to gather information. And he gave me a good chance to do that by donk betting into me. And then when I raised, he called. So I think that what's happening here, I believe my opponent then is probably donking his draws. So I'm going to guess he has something like a flush draw. So my bet here on the turn was, a hope that he would fold. But also, I'm kind of hoping that he misses his draw and I can use a pretty small bet to just win the pot. That's the game plan. We'll see if it works out. Okay, perfect. So the first step is we want to gather some intel, and all we're really doing is making educated guesses, and what these educated guesses are going to do is help us to construct better ranges. What is a range? Well, he's going to give me another chance to pick up some intel. He's limping, which not everybody does. Limping just means just calling. So he's partitioning his range, meaning he's splitting his range into at least three ranges. The hands that he folds, the hands that he calls with, and the hands that he raises with. So when he limps in or just completes the blind, just calls, I wanted to raise him just to kind of get a bit of information about how he's going to react to raises when he limps in. So what I know so far is I know that he's probably donk betting his draws. Donk betting means betting into the pre-flop raiser when you're out of position. So like I raised pre-flop, I have the betting lead. Most players are going to check to me because they're going to assume that I'm going to bet a pretty high percent of the time if they do. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to bet into me if he has like a 5 here, because if he checks, I'm probably going to bet. So why would he do that? And most of the time, players will either do this probing to try to figure out if they have the best hand with something like a pocket pair of twos or with draws. Now, I think this guy's doing it with draws. So I just called there thinking that most of the time the draws are not going to come in and I can take him off his hand. I don't have any equity here, and I think he probably did get there a lot of the time. Well, I can't say he probably did get there, but he either already had me beat or he's got me beat now. So now you just have to kind of wonder, is it worth paying this 20 to verify my read? And normally you don't want to pay for information, but in a heads up sit and go, where later on the blinds are going to be bigger and where that's such a tiny bet, I think that paying 20, if I actually get to see this showdown, would be way, way, way worth it. Now, how bizarre is this? So what if he did have the flush? Now he's got to be worried about any 5 or any 9. I think I'm going to bluff. He should not be calling me with a flush here. And plus I have the added bonus that if he does call me, I get some information. The information I really wanted. Alright, so I am pretty sure about my read right now. That he is, he's donk leading his flush draws. Or his draws anyway. So we collect information, gather intel, and that helps us to construct our ranges. Yeah, I could. See, here's the thing now. The last time he limped, I raised and he folded. He may limp and try to limp in with a big hand now. Or he just may be poised to limp and then call. So I'm just going to throw a curveball, just check it back, to make him maybe fall asleep at the wheel. I want him to forget about the notion that I'm going to raise him whenever he limps in. I don't want him to think that. I want him to kind of go back into his default mode so that he plays how he normally plays, at least for the moment, while I'm trying to figure him out and get kind of a complete picture of what his overall strategy looks like. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and bet quick before he notices that there's a straight on the board. I can't call for a chop at best, but I'm going to let him sweat it. I'll let him think I'm time banking here, but I mean that I'm tanking, that I'm really thinking about things. Obviously I have nothing to think about. I can't beat anything. So yeah, the information that we pick up helps us construct our ranges. The way that my range of hands, my ranges interact with his ranges are going to determine who wins most, who wins in the long run. Now this is kind of different. Now he's donked here, and there's really no there's not really any draws open. That leads me to believe, obviously, my first assumption about his donking ranges was incorrect. He's not simply always only donk betting with his draws. But I think what he's probably doing then is he's donk. Okay, so this looks like a blocking bet. And what that means is he's betting to stop me from betting bigger. And if I had an ace here, I would just raise. If I had air, in other words, if I had nothing, I would just raise, because he's not happy to see this ace, is what this is telling me. But because I actually have just a decent hand, I'm just going to call. And if he bets the river, I'm going to call, and if he checks, I'm going to bet. And I think that he's going to have, he will have a queen here a lot of the time. And actually, I think most of the queens beat me, because the queen deuce, queen six, queen four, they all win. And yeah, so for sure, I'm losing to most of the queens. But he'll have some other stuff. He'll have king six and stuff like that in his range too. So I'm definitely going to at least call. I'm just trying to think if there's any value in raising. I don't think there is. And there's the queen seven. Oh my! I was thinking, I misread my hand. Yeah, that's right. Queen seven. Queen seven loses to queen nine. Got a little excited there. So here he's limping, and I am just going to go ahead and raise, because I do believe he's limping. Probably limping his weaker hands. No, he's probably limping his weaker hands. This little limp raise, I don't know exactly what he's doing. He could have actually just decided to limp a big hand, or he could be like, well, this guy's just going to keep raising me, so I'm going to bluff him. It doesn't really matter, because I'm getting 4-1, so I don't have to win very often in order to make this call profitable. When he lays me 4-1, it's like right now there's 300 in the pot. He's betting 100, so I'm getting 3-1, and I have top pair with a decent kicker, and I've got backdoor hard draw. So now I've got a flush draw, and I've got second pair with a good kicker. So yeah, I'm definitely going to call. And I'm going to hope this checks back, because if he bets here, it will put me in kind of a spot. Especially if he bets really small. If he made just a normal bet, I could just fold, but I think I'm going to have to look this up. Because when there's 740 chips in the pot, and I have to call 100 to win, I only have to win one time out of 8 to show a profit. And I think I'll win 1 out of 8. In fact, I'll win that one. So now, if he would have bet bigger, I probably would have just folded. But he just filled in the rest of my little gap in information that I had. He donk bet because he had a weaker pair. And I think he was donking his draws, and he's donking his weak pairs. And that's going to be extremely helpful for me, obviously, to know that. It's bad poker for him. I mean, it's really not what you want to do, but we'll explain that in a later video. But maybe we'll see it in action, because now that I know what he's donking, I'll also know what kinds of hands he's checking. And 7-6, since He's limping. 7-6 is like it's not suited, but it is a connector. A middling connected hand plays pretty well in a limped pot. So we're just going to check and take a look at the flop. Now here's a good example of what I think a lot of players will do wrong. They'll see that they have a pair here, and they'll just be like, well, I have a pair, I probably have the best hand, so I'm going to bet. But even though I have a pair and I do probably have the best hand, what would this bet accomplish? Is he going to call me with a worse hand? No. So what good does my 6 do me? If I bet my 6, he's either going to call me when I'm beat, or he's going to fold when I have him beat. Neither of those things do me any good. So I might as well use my 6. The only way I can make money with this pair of 6s is by catching a bluff. If he bluffs and I call, that's the only way I can win money with like this bottom pair. So it doesn't make sense for me to bet it myself. And now I think actually the board has just become too scary for me to stick around. And right when the jack comes in, he makes a big, huge bet. He bet 140 into 80. So we're just going to give this one up. And of course, you know, sometimes I will get bluffed, and sometimes I'll be folding the best hand. And, you know, sometimes, but that's okay. If you're not sometimes folding the best hand, you're calling too often. And you could say, well, you know, maybe I let him get there by checking the 6, and I let him improve to the best hand, whereas if I would have bet my hand on the flop, I would have won the pot. So I failed to protect my hand. But really think about that logically. If I had bet any hand and he didn't have anything, then he would have folded. So instead of using, and really the player who's able to play the most hands profitably is going to win. And so this is why knowing how to construct ranges is so important. I want to be able to play each part of my range as profitably as possible. And by using some hands to bluff with, some hands to value bet with, and some hands to bluff catch with, that gives me more hands than him if he's not using that strategy. It gives me more hands that I can play profitably than what he'll have if he's not using a strategy like that. In other words, like, why not just use my total complete air? Air means no pair, no draw. So why not just bet my air on that king, queen, 6 board rather than use my 7-6? So why not use the air part of my range rather than the paired bottom pair part of my range to accomplish that? I'm just going to click this back. So when he bets, I think he's got to draw a lot, or he's got a 2, maybe some kind of a queen. And I mean, I guess maybe he's just donking everything, and he could have a value hand here, but yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and set him in. If he's got a flush draw, then he can either put the money in and gamble or not. But I should have the best hand most of the time, and that's all that's really important. Okay, so I think that timed out pretty well, and I would be happy to accept the rematch, but I'm sure he's not going to. No, he did not. So that was a $3. That's how it's how you get better at poker, is obviously starting at the lower stakes and kind of building your way up. But I also thought by playing micro stakes, my opponents would make more glaring mistakes, like bigger mistakes, and that would give me a chance to show you how to capitalize on those mistakes. So I don't know. I hope that went pretty well. I didn't have a script, obviously. I was just sort of going off the top of my head and talking about things that came up in play. But I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave some comments if you did enjoy it, because if you did, I really would like to stick with this and do more videos like this. So hopefully you learned something. If you're a complete beginner, I have to imagine that you did. And I think even if you're a relative beginner, or somebody who has played for a while but just really has never thought about the game in depth, you probably learned a thing or two too, I hope. So until next time, good luck.